Hey Shackers, welcome back to This Week in Switch 2. I'm your host Asif Khan, and I'm the CEO, Editor-in-Chief, EIEIO here at Shacknews. EIEIO stands for Extremely Intelligent Extreme Intelligence Officer. In a time of AI, I have created EI to make line go up, and because we are not the SpaceX IPO, line go up here at Shacknews. I'm joined by my usual co-host, Shacknews, head of long reads. Sorry, is that proper amount of head of long reads? There you go.
There it is.
Sorry. David Craddock is here, and he's also the managing editor at Shacknews. And then we're joined by our senior editor and Shacknews podcast extended universe. I don't know. You're like ever present in this.
I've been on every incarnation of a Shacknews podcast going all the way back to Weekend Confirmed.
Yeah, so Ozzy Mejia is here. So he's been on every podcast, I think, except for the original Shackcast with Steve Gibson and whoever.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've never really had the pleasure of meeting Steve Gibson in person, like, believe it or not.
You missed out, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's Ozzy's here. Welcome, Ozzy. You're our senior editor at Shacknews.
I am filling in for Donovan, who I believe is lost in Disney World right now.
Yeah, I think Donovan is out there in the I don't know where he is. When people go on vacation, I just let them be. But yeah, we're going to talk about all the latest Nintendo and Nintendo adjacent news of the week, but we are also finally, I can do it, guys. I'm going to talk about my Star Fox review. Now, at the time of this podcast recording, I have not written it, but it's in my head. I have written it in my head, and I've been playing this game. I've been trying to get all of the medals, and we'll get into that here in a second. But I figure let's talk about the news, and then we'll talk about Star Fox. So the first little bit of news here, it's the 30th anniversary of the Nintendo 64's release in Japan. So, Shacknews shares our 30th anniversary with not just Quake, David, which we recorded a podcast for yesterday. We share our 30th anniversary year with the Nintendo 64 and a bunch of awesome games that came out that year.
That's right. I don't know. I was going to ask you guys, what is your favorite N64 game? Mine, and this will shock both of you, is The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. F-Zero X.
Mm-hmm.
That's my answer.
I think I've also got to go Ocarina of Time because it really showed me, and I was a Nintendo kid. I was not a PlayStation kid, so I was not able to experience Final Fantasy VII, which is a different conversation in itself. But Ocarina of Time really showed me, how extensive storytelling could be in a video game if you really aimed for it. And it got me into, narrative possibility in games, and it kind of led me to where I am today. So I owe everything to that game.
Yeah, I think that, David, we were talking about it last week, just how many bangers there were on the N64. So yeah, Mario 64, obviously another iconic game on the platform, Mario Kart, Diddy Kong Racing. There was so many great racing games, so many great split screen games. For its time, GoldenEye 007 was pretty amazing. But yeah, Ocarina of Time, widely considered the best game ever, highest reviewed game of all time. That's an easy pick. But for me, it's when I go into that N64 app on the Nintendo Switch Online platform, it's for F-Zero X. And lately it's been to play Star Fox 64. But the death race in F-Zero X is one of my favorite game modes ever in any game ever. Because it's just a straight line, but you have to kill 29 other racers as fast as you can. I love that arcadey feel of it. But yeah, not really it's kind of hard to make a bad choice when it comes to your favorite N64 game unless you pick Quest 64.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. What about Superman 64?
Superman, I try not to even talk about it. It was the first review I ever did for NintendoBox.com, which no longer exists, so you can't even find it. But I gave it a 3 out of 10, which I think was actually being nice.
It was the amount of rings that you were able to fly through.
Dude,
before
fuck that
giving
game.
up.
It was like flying a fucking couch. That was the most boring terrible like implement. Like, man, they have struggled to make a good Superman game, but that might be the worst attempt they ever had, and they should feel bad. But I was like back in the early 2000s, David, where like I wasn't getting paid for my freelance work. I was just getting games for free, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, you can get this game for free. And I'm like, okay, I'll review Superman 64. And then like the monkey paw curled. And it was like, I'm like, really? This was like me breaking into the industry was to review Superman 64. It was depressing. I had gone to an E3 before that, but like once again, I didn't get paid to go. I just got in, right? Like, it was just like I could go. But yeah, the N64 era for me will always be like me entering games media, right? And I was like a freshman, sophomore in college, and just kind of like experimenting with freelance journalism. But yeah, getting to go to LA, playing Mario Tennis. I just think about how many multiplayer games I played on the N64, David. Like it was that dorm console for us, or then like later on in our house. But we had a group of friends. We'd play Mario Golf against each other. The new Tetris, Ozzy, like that game was outstanding. Where you had to make the 4x4 blocks that would turn into gold or silver, and then you could throw pieces at each other. Like all that stuff was so good, man. There were so many great on-screen couch multiplayer experiences, be it co-op or multiplayer. But like definitely those sports titles, Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Banjo-Kazooie. There's just so many good games on this platform.
I have a hot take.
Yeah,
I have a hot take.
Sure.
I actually like Quest 64. It's not like a 7 or 8. It's like a 5 or 6. But I would rather play that game than Donkey Kong 64.
I'm glad that you segued into Donkey Kong 64 because was the N64 not like the peak of Rare, where it was right after where they go, okay, let's see what we can do without Donkey Kong, and they started pumping out stuff like GoldenEye, stuff like Banjo-Kazooie, stuff like Blast Corps. Like they were able to make really good games, and it was before they got to the GameCube where they're like, oh, we're gonna make an adventure game out of Star Fox? Okay, sure.
Yeah, Dude, I would rather play DK64 than Quest 64. You're just like forgetting how bad Quest 64 was.
No, I played through that game from beginning to end. I know how bad it was. I also know that spamming the avalanche spell was fun, which is the opposite of what I had in Donkey Kong 64.
Donkey Kong 64 features one of the greatest songs in video game history. So I will give it.
That's true.
I will give it the benefit of the doubt.
Another thing that you had to collect all of them.
Yeah. No, dude. That is where Rare went full collectathon on us, and it's just that one aspect where there was like, oh, you need to be this monkey to get these bananas. I was like, okay, that's where you lost me. I do feel like I'm missing something. You know what? I forgot to introduce our all-star panel of Amiibo and Nintendo related things. Thank you for pointing that out, Talking Flower. Offended, apparently. So yeah, we have Kirby, Link playing Ocarina, Zelda, a Moblin for the first time on the podcast, Link holding his Master Sword. We have Toon Link, Sheik, whatever. Ganondorf, Fox McCloud at the front. Rob, the robotic operating buddy, holding a squishy Triforce. Lumily from the Super Mario Galaxy movie. And the Talking Flower. My apologies, Talking Flower.
Ooh, so exciting.
Yes, it is exciting to be on this podcast. My bad. Sorry. Apologies to our all-star panel. And yes, of course, if you're listening to this on audio formats, you're really missing out, right, Ozzy? There's a all-star cast here joining us.
There are a lot of visual aids on this podcast.
Oh, we call this the Amiibo Summoning Circle. So, like, this is how we got Ocarina of Time 4K Remake to appear. There you go, David. So, yeah, like you guys both said, your favorite game on the N64 was The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Like, how many hours would you say you put into that game, David, over the long arc of time?
I play it once or twice a year. It's got to be over 1,000.
Yeah,
easily. Yeah.
it's definitely hundreds for me, because it was a game that I would just go back to. But that first time playing through it was magical. And just we were talking about it, like we talk about when David and I aren't on this podcast talking about Zelda, we're just talking about Zelda in general. So we were talking, it was in the context of Star Fox, Ozzy, because I don't know if Nintendo Music, I didn't put it in the rundown. Nintendo Music drip dropped a couple of more Mario Kart World drops, David. Like, there's some more that just keeps kind of falling onto the app. But anyway, before Star Fox came out, I think it was like the day of the Nintendo Direct, Ozzy, they dropped like 7 songs from the new Star Fox game on Nintendo Music. And
I have played that Star Wolf theme a lot because it's probably their best iteration of it so far.
And it's like orchestral and like really impressive. And they actually, I can say this, they have a choir in parts of the Star Fox soundtrack. So I was talking to David about it, I'm like, man, I cannot wait to see what Nintendo does with the Ocarina of Time soundtrack, Ozzy. Because like, talk about one of the most iconic pieces of music in video game history and a game about music. Like what they're going to do with that. We even heard just a little bit, David, in that teaser trailer, like yes. they had hints of different songs even in that reveal trailer. I cannot wait to hear what they do there. And also like the Zelda orchestra, man, like just like bangers. Like that's all they do is put out bangers. So I cannot wait to hear what they do with that game, let alone see. But yeah, N64, man, 30 years. One of my favorite consoles. Like the controller kind of ass. With the benefit of hindsight, that controller's ass. Come on.
But it was one of the first consoles to have 4 controller ports on it. And this was a time when like the people that grew up on the original NES were either in high school or college. So they needed 4 controllers to have friends over and, play 4-player GoldenEye and have a lot of fun with that kind of stuff.
We left out one game that was perfect for 4 players, Ozzy. Smash. This was the birth of Smash.
Yes.
And also the best Kirby iteration in a Smash. Like Kirby was OP in Smash 64, and then basically spent the last X amount of generations being nerfed into oblivion. But like Kirby was OP in Smash. You can just do the up down with the sword, and obviously drop the anvil on people, and then the anvil cancel midair. Like, oh man, just the birth.
I love figuring out that I just had to dodge it and then just run over and throw. Like that was the easiest way to get around that.
Yeah. Well, who are you maining? Fox or Falcon?
I'm Luigi.
You're Luigi. Yeah. Mario wasn't bad in that either. Like that was, you could argue that might be one of the more balanced Smash games. Because it just became a diaspora of players and different characters as we got to Ultimate with, what was it, 88?
You talk about that N64 controller being ass. This was also the console that brought us Mario Party.
That's true.
And that OG Mario Party that ruined everybody's control stick and your hand.
Oh, yeah. Oh, your palm? People would do like the whole palm thing. It was just, dude.
I can feel that. It's painful.
I would get like Nyko controllers specifically for Mario Party because I was like, I don't want people to ruin my good N64 controllers playing this game. It's like, it was the equivalent, like, it was the week I got the Wii, right? So we're fast forwarding here. But I was playing Wii bowling with some of my friends, and they might have been having brews upstairs at my house. And one of my friends let go of the Wiimote. Like when he was bowling, he's like, I thought I was supposed to let go. I'm like, in what universe did you think you were supposed to throw my brand new controller? Right. So like, similarly, people would consume beverages while playing Mario Party, Ozzy. And like, I've seen not just like, it wasn't like they would snap the analog off of the N64 controller, but it was before drift. It would just tilt afterwards. It would never be centered again.
Yeah. I felt the pain of that, and I noticed that a year later when we got Mario Party 2, which is where it peaked in my opinion, was the controls all got changed. Suddenly you weren't rotating that control stick anymore. Suddenly you were just mashing buttons as God intended.
Yeah, honestly, good on Nintendo for at least realizing they were destroying people's controllers with that first.
Realized it themselves because they were playing it themselves. And they're like, "Hey, this really hurts. Let's not do this anymore."
Yeah,
that was the controller that introduced the analog stick.
yeah,
and I feel like that controller, it wasn't great, but I feel like that controller, kind of like the GameCube controller, which was better, but if a game was suited for it, the controller was perfect. You know, like I can't imagine playing Mario 64 ideally without that controller. Like obviously you can, but man, like in Ocarina of Time as well, Z targeting, it just felt good to hold that trigger while you were in combat. But if you were playing a game, like I tried Mortal Kombat 4 on that system, which is probably the closest to the arcade version, and it just felt weird using the D-pad and the C buttons to like kick and block and stuff. So yeah, if the controller was made for a game, or the game was made for the controller, then it worked out pretty well, I'd say.
yeah.
I had a really good time with Trilogy. Mortal Kombat Trilogy was really good to me on the N64 in the early days.
That was a fun version.
But like it also had I guess it was the first time we got Nintendo optionality in a controller, right? Where it was like, okay, here's the analog experience, right, with the middle thing, and then here's the D-pad experience, right? So it was like, it was the beginning of that, like, okay, we can have an analog and a D-pad, right? Right. And that continued on, right? We got that the GameCube, we saw the C buttons evolve to the C stick, and then it wasn't until like a little bit later that they're like, hey, what if we put two good analogs on a joystick? But like the evolution of the analog joystick in gaming began with the N64, it's undeniable, and it was that level of precision that you got in Mario 64 that was impossible before then. And then similarly, you think about, like, you know, everyone's very excited about GTA coming out. Like the aiming mechanism that like people use in GTA, Zelda was the originator of that. Z targeting was the beginning of all that aim, you know, lock on aim stuff. And then Star Fox 64 also shipped on this console, and it's, you know, the more I've been playing through it, and we'll get to it in my review part, but like that was a very arcadey feeling game, Ozzy. You know, like it's not even the N64 one. It's a high score game. It's a game that had a ton of replayability. Obviously, it had the branching paths, but it was like even each level keeps track of how many hits you had, right? So like I think it was interesting to see just how many, like the wider range of experiences that you had on the N64, where some of them were like pick up and play for a few minutes, and then others were like you would get enveloped in Mario 64 for like 15 hours. You know,
we'll get to it on your part, but I had to work really hard for that best ending back in the day. But one other thing about Star Fox 64 is for younger people that maybe didn't grow up in the 90s or anything like that, the Star Fox 64 came packaged with a peripheral called the Rumble Pack. And this was this bulky little thing that you hooked up to the back of the controller, and it gave you haptic feedback. And at the time, it was like total gimmick. Like they'd give it to you at Blockbuster, you'd put it in and be like, okay, this is kind of neat and everything. But man, the industry grasped onto that thing, and the industry has not looked back. There's haptic feedback in everything now. It became standard in controllers. It became like you see companies like Razer putting like haptics into your chair and like stuff like that. Like haptic feedback all started with the Rumble Pack that came packaged with Star Fox 64.
Also, the marketing for Star Fox 64, there was like a VHS tape for it. It's just a different era of.
I've not watched Kit and Krista's video where they look back at the VHS tape, and I'm just like, I don't even remember the VHS tape. So I'm gonna have to give that a look.
I remember, I had it. But yeah, it's just a different era of discoverability in games. We were talking about that with respects to Quake yesterday, David. Just like how shareware did that, but also like these direct mailers that Nintendo was doing back then. Like it was just a weird time. It was a time where AOL was sending us all discs. It was different,
which I appreciated.
Yeah,
because I used the floppy disks for my own files. I just delete the AOL installer and put my own files on them.
Wait, no. Feels good to be alive.
Okay, Talking Flower just interrupting us. Definitely a diva here today. We're happy for N64 having this anniversary. We're gonna do something. We're gonna do a much deeper dive with our whole staff this fall when the North American anniversary rolls around, because we're an American-centric show here. But yeah, that wasn't the only anniversary today, you guys. I'm wearing blue, right?
Yes, you are.
I never wear blue. I wear blue.
It's because you love clean water much more than you love AI.
That's true.
Which you don't love at all.
That's true, but also it's Sonic's 35th anniversary, and he's blue. This is a complete coincidence, but anyway, happy birthday, Sonic. The original Sonic the Hedgehog dropped 35 years ago on the Sega Genesis, and then began a true console war, right? This was the beginning of the console war of the 90s that Sega went on to lose miserably. But they declared the war. And sometimes,
yes, they did.
So sometimes when you pick a fight, you get knocked out. And that happened here. But yeah, I don't know. Like we posted a vertical video where we all shared our individual favorites. David, you said Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was your favorite.
Yeah.
And then,
because I would do co-op with my brother, and that game was hard to co-op because if you were Tails, you'd inevitably get left behind if Sonic player played it right, because you're just supposed to go fast. Mm-hmm. But we almost beat that game. In fact, I remember there wasn't a save game option or password option, but if you went into the debug menu, you could choose the level to start at. And so I would, like, wherever we died, I would just go into debug and go back to that level to kind of try again. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that game was tough, but it was great.
Yeah, I think I gave a trolley kind of answer when I said my favorite was Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, which I don't know if anyone remembers, but Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games were kind of cursed. They actually never happened. And then
2020 as a whole was cursed.
Yeah, but that Olympics never happened, Ozzy, or it happened a year later. Also, that was the last Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games ever made, which is honestly sad because I thought it was an excellent game, and actually like showed the history of the Tokyo Olympics and stuff. Like it was actually kind of cool. But yeah, like I know there's some other good Sonic games there. A lot of our staff said Sonic Adventure 2. And I know Ozzy, you picked what was it? Sonic Mania?
Sonic Mania, because a lot of those old 2D Sonics are classics, but they had a little bit of jank in them. And Sonic Mania, for the most part, I kind of fix a lot of that. I thought about doing Sonic Superstars, but to speak to David's point, they tried to make Sonic Superstars into like a new Super Mario Brothers kind of thing, where it's like 4-player co-op. But the whole point of Sonic is to go fast, so you're leaving everybody behind at some point. And by the time I was like halfway through my review, I'm just like, okay, who thought 4-player co-op was a good idea?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah, the more platforming you have to do in Sonic, happy birthday, Sonic.
No, say it. Say it, David.
All right. I don't think Sonic is a good platform game.
Bam.
I never have.
Headshot.
The more platforming you have to do in Sonic games, the less fun you're having. You just want to hold down, rev up Sonic, and watch him play for you. That's what makes Sonic games fun.
Or it's high speed platforming, right? It's not like the slow I'm jumping in, whatever the poison level. I can't remember the name, the lab or whatever. It's when they combine the speed with the platforming, David, I think is when Sonic's at its best. Where you do have to do a time jump to keep the speed going. Like I think that's
Sonic platformers are designed for momentum, like to keep your speed going and all that. If you start designing Sonic for precision, that's where you go wrong.
Yeah. No, that's what I was getting at. But man, David said it. I didn't. So address all of your hate emails and tweets and blue sky posts to David Craddock. You can find it.
I am going to say this for Sonic, and I didn't get an opportunity to kind of find a place to say this in our video that's up on Shacknews right now. But one of my favorite Sonic moments came in 2008 when the console war had kind of died, and Mario and Sonic were shaking hands for the first time for Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
Yeah.
And if you remember the Subspace Emissary, if you remember that story mode, the one moment from that story mode that I'll always remember is towards the very end where you're fighting the last boss, you're fighting Talon, and he's got all the cast of characters, and he's got them all like ready to finish them all off. And who comes and saves the day but Sonic the Hedgehog? He comes in, he breaks everybody free, and he looks at Talon, and he gives him the Dikembe finger, and it's such an awesome moment. Absolute, one of my favorite moments of like that whole series, and just my favorite Sonic moment ever.
Subspace Emissary is so underrated, and it's because it's in a game that is not as well liked in the Smash series as a multiplayer esport, Ozzy, but like it's the best single player experience they've ever had in the Smash game. I wish they would have. They tried something with World of Light, it just didn't hit for me.
No, it wasn't the same.
But you're absolutely right. That was an epic moment, and yeah, that was like you flash back 20 years or 10 years. And you're like, hey, here's Mario and Sonic shaking hands. People are like, what? Like, and now they're in the Olympics?
Like, what the hell's happening right now?
Yeah. I think it's a good thing when these franchises could come together. I don't know what game it was, Ozzy, but when we had, it must have been Smash 4, when we had Pac-Man, Mega Man, Sonic, and Mario all together in a Smash game, I was like, wow, this is like world peace happening in a video game right now.
That was when Smash went from celebrating everything from Nintendo to celebrating video games as a whole and celebrating Nintendo's history with video games and its third parties.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
And Sega became a third party for Nintendo and still is on all these platforms. But yeah, they announced some stuff. We got Sonic Pinball announced today, Ozzy. I don't know if you saw that.
I have not seen that, actually. I'm very excited for that.
Not from Stern.
Okay.
I was like, huh.
Stern seems to be like the big player in pinball right now, and part of that is because of the way they've innovated with their mobile app, and also with the way they've integrated a lot of their games into that mobile app and giving you stuff like character progression in the D&D game, a Pokédex in the Pokemon machine, like that kind of thing. Like, so it's hard for a lot of other pinball manufacturers to keep up. But if you're making like a straightforward pinball game, like you can still do that.
Yeah. It looks pretty cool. Like there's like an Eggman boss battle like at the top part of the table. Like it looks kind of cool. And then also probably the most leaked Sonic announcement in the last few years, Sonic Frontiers got a Switch 2 Definitive Edition announced today. So there you go. All you Sonic Frontiers fans, you can now play a slightly better version on Switch 2.
Look, I mean, we talk about Nintendo and Sega making nice and like having relations and all that, but I remember those exclusive Sonic games on the Wii, and those were not great. I will take a definitive Sonic Frontiers over any of those.
Yeah, except for even on PS5, I think that was the platform you played Sonic Frontiers on, David. Like it struggled. Yeah. That game struggled.
Yeah, it really did. I'm curious to see how this version performs.
Sonic Frontiers was kind of like an ambitious game for them because this is where they were like, okay, we're going to do a 3D platformer, but we're also going to make the tone a lot darker. Yeah. And it felt really different at the time until the formula started to kick in. But for a while there, it was really interesting what they were doing.
I did like the narrative, and I love the ending. Like it's actually a fun ending, you know. But yeah, I have no interest in buying this game again. Like, I own the Switch 1 version, so I'm like, I'm good.
It's like a couple years ago when they announced Sonic Colors, and it's like, okay, of all the games we're going back to, like, I mean, at what point do we go back to Sonic 06?
Yeah.
Or Sonic Werewolf, whatever that title was.
Yeah.
Sonic Unleashed.
Ugh. No, thank you. But they did say they plan to release this. Sega had like I think it was like their annual report came out or something, and for their fiscal year ending March 2027 or 2026, they said they plan to release 2 unnamed new titles from flagship IP by the end of March 2027. So that means that these have not been announced. We don't know what they are. So they're not, was it Stranger Than Heaven? They're not, P6 which obviously isn't coming out next year. But like, it's not these announced games. It's not Crazy Taxi. It's not the Alien Isolation 2 game. So it's like, I wonder, like, what do you think these two Sega games are?
I don't think this is one of them, but I would be down to play a new Golden Axe. If it were like an arcade style 2D game,
Yeah.
like the originals, I'd be so down for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what are we down to from that Summer Game Fest trailer a few years ago? We've got the Crazy Taxi, we've got Shinobi, we still need Golden Axe and Jet Set Radio.
Yeah. Maybe Jet Set. It's
I think
time.
we do get a flagship. I think we get a flagship Sonic at some point.
It's time.
Although I liked what I seen of Sonic Pico Park, because I went to Summer Game Fest and I tried out Sonic Pico Park with a lot of skepticism in mind, and then I started picking it up and I go, oh, that's right, this is Pico Park. It's a lot, and they add like the kind of the Sonic mechanics and the Sonic breakneck speed to it. It's a fun co-op game.
Guys, it's time. The state of journalism is really in flux. We need ooh la la. We've never needed ooh la la more than right now. We need a new Space Channel 5. We need Space Channel 6.
Reporting.
We need Space Channel 6. It needs to happen. Like, it's time, right? Isn't it time? Don't we need the definitive rhythm game? Like, I don't know.
It's a great time for rhythm games right now. Like they're starting to come back in style again, and I love it.
Yeah, and like I am so not that guy like to play these games, but I really did love Space Channel 5, especially that boss battle, Ozzy, where they reverse everything. I used to flip my Dreamcast controller upside down to play it.
I used to do stuff like that too.
But like Michael Jackson being in it, like that was wild. I don't know what's the cringiest pop music. Drake. Put Drake in Space Channel 6. There you go.
Oh boy,
Monkey Paw has curled. Some Sega ninja is watching this right now. Some Shinobi is watching us right now, and they're taking notes. But yeah,
you got a summoning circle here, and you're trying to manifest Space Channel 6 featuring Drake.
It's gonna happen. Like now that I said it, like because Ozzy, having Michael Jackson in your game is not necessarily the most PR friendly thing in 2026.
No, it's not, but you can at least say he's the king of pop. You can say he was like that. His music was the most recognizable in the world. What are you getting out of Drake?
Ozzy's proximity.
He's right. The summoning circle is too powerful. Look at what it got us so far.
Okay.
You have to be careful with that.
I retcon asking for Drake in Space Channel 6, but the world needs ooh la la. I'm just thinking, like, what would be the cringiest thing that could come out of this? And it would probably be Drake. Because, dude, his existence baffles me. The fact that this man survived the onslaught that was Not Like Us, Ozzy, and then GNX, that this man is still standing after all that, and he has
He's still suing.
That's the most gangsta thing you can do, Ozzy, when you get dissed by an entire stadium of people. Anyway, it was just an opportunity for me to shit on Drake, actually. But yeah. Please no, Sega, don't do that. But yeah, like, Jet Set. But man, after this Gen AI stuff, Ozzy, like, please don't Gen AI slop Jet Set. That'd be like the opposite of the vibe of that game.
I don't know. They're already Gen AI and Crazy Taxi, and that kind of killed my buzz for it.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple episodes ago, and it has soured our mood about that game entirely. But, you know, I'll still play it just to see if it's like the gameplay. I don't know. They're not using Gen AI to code the game, and it is the original creator. It's like, I want to give it the benefit of the doubt, but I definitely am like, why, Sega? And like, it kind of leads me to another topic on here. I think I left it later on in the show. Actually, we'll talk about that later. We have more about generative AI in games and how it's ruining everything coming up. But yeah, we should get to like the biggest non-Nintendo news of this week. Up until GTA drops a trailer like 2 days after this podcast goes live. Steam Machine had its price revealed, and it starts at $1,049.
A lot.
Just pausing for effect there. Ozzy gives it 1 thumbs down. He's too tired to give it 2 thumbs down. There's the 2 thumbs down. There's your official Shacknews review, because we didn't get a review unit. We're good enough. If you're keeping track at home, we were good enough to review the controller, right? But not the device itself. So for keeping track at home, good enough for the controller.
If you're playing the Shacknews metagame.
Yeah. Good enough for the controller, not enough for the shitty box that is actually pretty overpriced. But I did watch Gamers Nexus. I sing the praises of Gamers Nexus on this podcast a lot, David. I think they do great work. They did about an hour-long breakdown with a ton of different benchmark tests. So like people are like, oh, it's expensive, Valve's being greedy. It's really not. It's just that the cost of RAM and the cost of SSDs has gone up so much that this is what they have to sell it at. It's just the state of component costs right now. But in the context of this show, right, this week in Switch 2, boy, does the Switch 2 seem like a pretty sweet deal right now. $450 for a console that plays all of these third-party games, David, and can run at 4K. Obviously, it uses DLS to do that, DLSS, but like, you're getting all these things, right? Like, and it's you can buy 2 Switch 2s for the price of this thing.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Is like, it's not only is it expensive, and it has to be given the Rampocalypse and everything, but it is underpowered. Even their top model is underpowered relative to like the PS5.
Yeah,
and so I was excited for this because I wanted. I do not now. I don't think I'll be getting one.
Damn. Yeah, this was the product that like you were really looking forward to, and then it comes out like it's probably $300 too expensive, right?
Yeah, like easily.
And that is almost entirely attributable to the RAM and NAND price fluctuations that have occurred. We talked about Xbox has talked about it. Nintendo obviously has a price increase coming to the United States, already happened in Japan. Sony has had to increase the price of PlayStation a couple of times, Ozzy. But like the fact that the PS5 Pro, which we're like, God damn, that's expensive, is cheaper than this. And you get all those first-party Sony games, which, like, it's very clear that Sony's moving away from PC releases. Like, and you're getting better performance and it's
3 p.m.
And it's 3 p.m.
3 p.m.
And it's 3 p.m. Thank you, Talking Flower. But, like,
Time for a snack.
it is about time for a snack. But, yeah, like, I think the fact that PS5, David, not just Pro, but PS5, a system that came out 2020 in the fall?
Yep.
Like, almost 6 years old, is outperforming this thing is crazy. Like that is, it's a level of planned obsolescence that I find disappointing. Now, like, there is some technological stuff going on in the Steam machine that is impressive. It's a miniaturization of the PC, David, and that's the thing I think you find most interesting about it. The form factor was going to fit in your living room. You would have a living room PC that wouldn't get in the way. It wasn't a giant clunky box next to your television. And they did a lot when it comes to the system on a chip, the motherboard, the thermal design, the fan design. Like, there's a lot of really solid engineering in this device. I just think it might be the worst timing for a product release, maybe in the history of consumer electronics. Like,
yeah,
this is just
that's a problem too. I don't know. We've talked about this on the podcast too, but this is kind of a harbinger of things to come. Like, imagine how much the PS6 will cost. Imagine how much the Xbox, what is it, Helix?
Project Helix.
Project Helix. Yeah, imagine how much that's going to cost. And I feel like those will probably be worth their asking price, since consoles usually have a pretty significant jump in hardware every time, whereas this is just not. And then again, I suppose it depends on what you're using it for. Like, this could be a nice indie box, but you have a great selection of games on the Switch 2, on the PS5, on the Xbox Series S. I mean, I don't see who's buying this thing. Even, I think it was supposed to be for the, like, average consumers who wanted a gateway into PC gaming. But why even buy this when you can buy a form factor PC for the same price that'll probably get you better hardware?
From what Gamers Nexus kind of showed, you can buy a similar spec PC for and a controller
Yeah.
for about $71 less. That's by the way, the 1,049. That's without a controller.
Yeah, they're pricing that with the Steam controller, right? Like that thing is expensive.
No, that's without a Steam controller.
Right. So like, and I'm saying you add on that controller is expensive.
It's $80.
Like, granted, like I don't need a controller. Like the Xbox one works just fine. But
sure.
Like, still, that's the optics of that is just kind of galling a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like getting a console, because this is it a console or is it a PC? Right? It's a console. It's at least attempting to look like a console. To not ship with a controller is weird. It also ships that 1049 model ships with 512 gigs of storage. That's like 3 modern games.
Yeah.
But there is a micro SD card slot though, so you can there is room for more.
Yeah, you can expand it that way, but like Ozzy, there's like speed limitations to that, that are going to impact gameplay. Yeah. But then also like it's just not running games that well without FSR. Now FSR and DLSS are kind of similar, so they are doing like some frame generation stuff that does make games run slightly better. You can get some games running 4K 60, but the native like default resolution, Gamers Nexus once again did a great breakdown of this. It's 1920 by 1080. Like in a $1,000 device that you're plugging into your TV, it defaults to 1920 by 1080 is kind of lame. And then there's all these things about the OS where it's very much, it treats the Steam machine like it's a deck. So it's like, it's very strange how like SteamOS is very deck focused still. So these are things that they can fix with software updates right now, but like, it's just, this feels very rushed. Like if they didn't get it out now, if they waited till the fall, it might cost even more. And that was another bit of news that we broke out from that Gamers Nexus review. Valve has not secured long-term supply contracts for RAM or NAND. They're on a month-to-month basis with their supplier, David. And the way they described it, if they say no, they won't get any.
Yeah.
So like you talk about like the totem pole of who gets priority. It's like hyperscalers for AI data centers. And then it's like Apple. Then it's like, some of the, who like the other manufacturers of consumer electronics. Then it's like Sony and Nintendo. And then way down at the bottom is Valve. Because like, they must not have the volume, right? Like this is not, I don't know how many they'll sell. Maybe they'll sell 1 million, but like over time, but like it must be in the hundreds of thousands or something. So to a RAM maker, they're like, yeah, whatever, we'll sell it to you for this spot price. But like they're behind even like G-Skill, those companies like Corsair and G-Skill that just repackage RAM and sell it to you. Like Valve is behind them in line for this. So it just shows you how bad it is out there for, trying to manufacture anything right now in consumer electronics. It's so bad that some of the Steam machines are shipping with 116 gig RAM chip and some are shipping with 2 8 gigs. And the ones that ship with 2 8 gigs actually are going to run faster than the 16 gigs. So you're not even getting a consistent spec in these devices because of how bad the supply is for this. So it just feels like they barely landed the plane, David.
It really does. And even that goes back to what I was talking to regarding the specs. 16 gigs of RAM, no matter how you slice it, is pretty underpowered. I mean, most gamers today know that they need at least 32. I have 64 just for a buffer.
Yeah. I have 64 because I do a lot of production work, right? And like when you're, and obviously in this world, VRAM is almost as important as system RAM. The VRAM in this is only 8 gigs, David. So it's like, it's underpowered on both sides compared to like what you're getting. What I see as the problem is like, it's underpowered for the market that is the PC gamer. And it's too expensive for the market that is the console, like, you know, casual PC player.
Casual fan, yeah.
You know? So it's like, who's going to buy this?
I looked at that price and I said, for twice the price, I can build a really decent gaming PC.
Yeah.
I'd much rather build a PC at that point.
Yeah. And, you know, it boils down to the form factor. Like, David's not going to build a living room PC, right? Like, you're not going to do that. So it's, I guess my question is, this is the launch price. But given that news that they're doing month-to-month contracts, if the prices of RAM keep going up, like, this might not, today's price might not be tomorrow's. This could go up in price.
Everything seems to be on the table to go up in price, which actually brings me back to PlayStation and Xbox wanting to unveil new consoles. Why are you unveiling new consoles right now?
Yeah.
It's the absolute worst time to do that. Like, stick with what you got, you know? Because right now you can't even keep what you have at a stable price.
That, and also, especially with respects to PlayStation, Ozzy, you have 90-some million PlayStation 5s out there. Let people sell software on it. Make first-party games that people will buy, because you have a massive addressable market, right? You're in that sweet spot where you already have those people who bought the PS5 for $500 6 years ago, 5 years ago. They still want games. Just make more games on the existing platforms. Extend this generation to maybe we get to the point where the AI bubble bursts, you know, and then release a system. This idea that you have to release another system, you don't. Xbox might need to, because no one's buying the Series X, right? But or the Series S. And they need something to attract people back to their ecosystem. Sony doesn't. Sony just needs games. So I 100% agree with you, Ozzy. And also, just from a business standpoint, why would you be rushing to piss off your consumer? Like, just give them more games. Put that money that you were going to put in R&D and you were going to put in the ramp of production and all the cost of components, put that money into developing games. And I agree.
There was a time just a few years ago when people were complaining that they didn't feel either console was worth the money, especially the PS5, because it was hard to find. Now I feel like, you know, toward the end of a console's life cycle is when we see some of the best games, because developers know the hardware so well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree with you too, Ozzy. I think that this is the time to really just double down on PS5. Probably, I agree with you, Asif. I think Xbox will need to be first, because Series X is kind of dead in the water. But Sony is sitting comfortably right now.
I think
this isn't the 90s anymore, where console life cycles have to go like 3-4 years before you move on to the next thing. We're in a pretty good place now where console life cycles can go like a decade, and we're still getting really good games and really innovative gaming experiences. There's no need to push something new right now, especially when nobody can afford it.
You can't even afford the current gen at the current prices. Like, I think this is the first time ever we have consoles that are 6 years old that cost more than when they launched. Like, this is the first time ever. And that's not true. I'm not picking on one or the other. That's true of Sony. That's true of Xbox. That's even true of the Nintendo Switch. Like, the first Switch has gone up in price. So, like, this is, I think, a moment for this is where Nintendo really does shine, David, in a world where you have to develop software. You know, like they tend to actually thrive in these moments. I think when they have their back up against the wall is when they come out and they're like, bam, here's Ocarina of Time 4K remake, right? Yeah. Or here's a Star Fox remake. But I think doing more with less is kind of their mantra ever since Iwata got out of this arms race. And boy, was that a prescient move after the GameCube for Nintendo to be like, we're not gonna win this. If we keep trying to fight on the hardware side, like, let these two fight it out. And look where we are, 20 some years later. I think it proved to be a very prescient move by Nintendo. And they're still dealing with this shit. It's just that, there's a couple of decisions Nintendo made. 12 gigs of RAM instead of the 16 gigs of RAM. That's going to help them in the end. Because, like, the 16 gig DIMMs, the 8 gig DIMMs, that's what the AI data centers are going crazy over. Now they're all going after high bandwidth, low power memory, so like that does impact Nintendo as well. But the fact that they went 12 gigs instead of 16 actually helps Nintendo here. They went 256 instead of 512. That helps Nintendo with the storage set. Doesn't help gamers, but it helps Nintendo at least keep the product affordable relative to this market. Now, none of these are affordable. You could argue that none of them are. I do think it's absurd that a 3-letter website that reviewed all of these consoles said that the price of the Switch 2 was too high, the price of the PS5 Pro was too high, but they didn't complain about the price of the Steam machine.
Yeah, there's definitely some bias there.
That's some bad optics.
8 out of 10. Yeah. We got a review unit from Valve. Would review Valve again. You know, like, I'm just saying, man. Sometimes our industry is fucking shameful, especially the jaboofers at 3-letter websites. But, you know, there are good content creators out there who did great work reviewing this. I would highly recommend people watch the Gamers Nexus breakdown of the Steam machine. They do a great job breaking down the hardware, but also the software experience. And at the end of the day, David, do you want to own a Linux PC?
No, I don't.
Well, that's what that is. Like, it's a Linux PC. So it has all the headaches of a Linux PC in a form factor where you can barely upgrade things. That's the other thing about this. The thing I like about PCs is you can swap in a new card from time to time. You can put in more RAM if prices eventually go down. Yeah, you can swap out your SSD and your RAM in this, but that's it. Like, you are stuck to this processor, you are stuck to this motherboard, you're stuck to that power supply. So, you know, Valve does a good job working with like iFixit and other third-party repairers, but like, God help you if you're not going to be able to upgrade this. So it goes back to what I was saying. Like, who is this for? Is this for the hobbyist PC player, or is this for the more casual couch player? It doesn't feel like it's for either at this price point.
No.
And that's a huge fail. But man, it's not the first time the Steam machine has failed. This has all happened before, David. It's just that this time it's Valve taking the profit and loss. But they even couched that. They said in the new Steam 3.8 update, you can make your own Steam machine with blackjack and hookers.
Woo!
So you too, David, could make a Linux computer. Would you like to do that?
By the end of it, you'll be like, forget the Steam machine.
Yeah, seriously. I don't want any of this. It sucks.
I was willing to compromise on certain things, like having a Linux box, if the price was right and if the specs were right. But now, like I said, I'm out. I'm still interested in the Valve Frame, their wireless VR headset, but I shudder to think what that's going to look like when it comes out.
$800.
Yeah,
that might be optimistic, Ozzy.
Yeah.
Are we gonna play this clip back in about a week when they actually unveil the price?
And it's like fucking $1,500. Yeah, I mean, it's
on an even more niche product.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Donovan said it a while ago on this show. Do you think Valve regrets announcing the Steam machine?
Yes.
Yes.
Like they
couldn't have foreseen how bad this was going to get.
Man, I did.
I don't know. I mean, prices aside, they knew the specs. And I don't like the price would have to be less than the current gen consoles for people to take the plunge on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think with those current specs, they were looking to release something like $500, make it easy for people to jump in. But with the situation that we're in, gestures broadly, they couldn't do that, and now they've priced out the casuals, and it's not good enough for the hardcore. So they're left with nothing.
I don't think it was ever going to launch at 500. I think they were targeting 800 or 750, and this is where it ended up. But yeah, I don't think it. Even if you go back to October 2025 prices for components, Ozzy, they would not have been profitable at 500. And they always said, we're not going to sell this at a loss. They're also in the midst of like multiple anti-competitive monopoly hearings in Europe right now. So they can't price things below market, right? Like they would get in trouble for being anti-competitive if they did that. So I think they're in a really tough spot here, which is interesting because they're not a monopoly in hardware. They're niche. But because they are a monopoly, or, you know, very close to a monopoly when it comes to PC gaming software, they had to thread this needle. But yeah, it's a really unfortunate timing. I don't like celebrate their failure, because I do think that the people working on SteamOS are innovating, and Windows sucks so much that, like, we do need an alternative. And, like, what they've done with SteamOS and big picture, I think, like, I think Steam Deck is actually probably the best non-Nintendo Switch handheld out there. Just from a software experience, an ecosystem experience, not necessarily the ergonomics, but just, like, feature set. And I felt like they were going to try to do that for the home PC, like the couch PC, and it just fell flat on its face. Microsoft is watching this and taking notes, because all they do is copy other people's homework. But, like, what's going to be the lesson here? Like, is Asha Sharma going to be like, hey, we can sell this for $1,100? It's like, oh no. Yeah.
People are so... I do think companies cherry pick the lessons they learn, because I do think this thing will sell out initially, if only because it's low stock. And you do have techies who will buy anything. You know, they're the ones in line for a new iPhone every year. No matter how expensive it is, they'll buy it. So I do think this will sell, and I worry that Microsoft will say, well, it did sell, so we could charge a little bit more, because Project Helix is probably more powerful than a Steam box, I would have to say.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have to know exactly what the fuck Microsoft's doing, which, God help us.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the mind of Microsoft. But anyway. So there's your Steam machine rundown. We're not reviewing it, because we don't want to buy one. Like, I don't think any of us are going out and buying one of these.
I'm on the waiting list, but I don't think I'm going to take the plunge on it.
Yeah, I'm not on the waiting list. I'm good. I like my PC. Man, I timed this perfectly. I would
actually rather buy a new PC than buy a Steam machine.
100%. And the thing is, like, David, your current PC has better specs than the Steam machine. So,
yeah, way better.
Like, why buy a Steam machine? I bought this at the perfect time, guys. This was purchased September 2025.
Flowers to talk?
It is weird for flowers to talk. I feel like you've been interrupting us more than usual today. Am I right? Like,
You're right.
I think Talking Flower has a bit of an attitude today, Ozzy. Do you have one of these?
I do. It's in the other room, though, because I don't let it interrupt my recording.
Well, that was the beginning of this whole thing. Like, originally it was just Talking Flower as the fourth co-host, and then it became whatever this table of things is now.
It's sort of become like such background noise that I've become so used to that, like, last night I didn't even realize that it said goodnight and anything. I was like, is the battery dead? And I pushed the button and he goes, you're up kind of late. Oh, never heard you say that before.
Have you had it like tell you the time in a different language? And it's like, it's just
yes. I've had it tell me in Spanish.
Yeah. It is. I find that one really funny. It told me the time in Japanese one time, and it was just like, just kidding. It's 6 p.m. I was like, oh, okay. It's great. I think it's hilarious. I find it funny when I'm like on a call with someone. I'll be on the call with my mom. She's like, who's at the house? I'm like, it's a flower. It talks. She's like, what? Anyway.
I've had it say at the weather's really warm outside, and Laura goes, how would it know?
In this era of expensive things, $30 for the Talking Flower is not bad.
Still plenty to be found in stores everywhere.
You know, I actually like this kind of weird Nintendo. But yeah, so let's go on to some other news here. This I think broke like right after our podcast went live or the same day, David, but Dispatch has issued an update that rolls back most of the Switch censorship except for dongs and orgasms.
So there's still censorship.
Yes.
It's just less censorship.
Less censorship. But still censorship.
But still censorship.
You know Vizzy's dream.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
censored. The noises she makes are still censored, and the dong shot is still censored.
Yeah. Yeah.
But other than that, they have rolled back most of the censorship in the Switch version. So, okay.
Progress is progress, I guess.
It's not something that they normally do. So I mean, kind of take it, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a step forward.
Yeah.
A for effort.
Yeah, But if you want to see full frontal on an animated dude, PlayStation, PC, Xbox would be the way to play Dispatch. If you want to play this in handheld, you're gonna have to forego Vizzy's orgasms and the dong. So there you go. On to other Nintendo news. Rhythm Heaven Groove has a demo out now, Ozzy. I don't know if you've downloaded it yet, but you can try it out.
I have not, but I would like to try it because it looks like it's scratched. I didn't play the original Rhythm Groove, so this looks to me like a kind of WarioWare type of game that I can get into.
It is very WarioWare. It's goofy. It has like a little bit of the Tomodachi Life humor in it too. I think you'll enjoy it. I posted a preview. I might be the worst person ever to preview rhythm games, but I still liked it. So
I appreciate rhythm games getting back into vogue as we went into earlier. But like, yeah, this is a great time to be a rhythm gamer. I also played Dennis Disco on PC earlier this week, and that's a lot of fun. Rhythm-based beat 'em up, so
Yeah.
early access. So
I like this era though of demos from Nintendo, David. Like they're putting out like somewhat chunky demos. Like here's like experience the game before you buy it. I think that's cool. The Star Fox demo is still out there if people want to try it out. But yeah, Rhythm Heaven Groove demo out now on Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. This might be the last Nintendo game to be released on Switch, Ozzy, like Switch 1. There's nothing left in the calendar, so this might be it. Maybe there's like a Switch Online game that'll go across generations, but like this is the last physical game release, I think, from the Nintendo Switch era. Hell of a run, right? 9+ years.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the best first party games, I would say, and that first year alone was legendary.
Literally, banger year. To have Odyssey bookend the release of Breath of the Wild,
Yeah.
almost impossible to outdo that. This year's going to be interesting though, because now you have Star Fox and Zelda.
Yeah.
So we'll see how the end of the year goes for that. I have a feeling some people might buy Ocarina of Time.
I think it will sell a few million copies.
I'm excited for that. Something I'm not excited for. Generative AI. Sony has posted a statement. Man, they hid this, David. This was buried in a 100-page annual report. So shout out to, I believe it was Daniel Ahmed over there at Nico Partners. He dug it up and pooped it out for us on social media for everyone to aggregate. So I did the needful and I aggregated it. But here's the statement. So it was, there's a segment that they're talking about like corporation wide. So Sony as a company driving growth with AI. AI brings new opportunities for value creation and growth, barf, and remains a tool to unlock human potential, double barf. Not a replacement for artists or creators. Under this principle, Sony introduced examples on how it is leveraging AI across its businesses. So they said the role of it, they broke it into the role of AI and how AI will evolve the PlayStation experience. So I want to read this whole thing because I just think it's just interesting. The role of AI. AI is not only for efficiency, but also a tool to empower creators to expand their creativity, making it easier to take on more innovative projects that were previously difficult to pursue due to constraints of costs and time. And this is where the monkey paw curled. Sony is continuing a collaborative pilot initiative with Bandai Namco to explore the use of generative AI and other advanced technologies, and it has confirmed gains such as a significant increase in speed and an improvement in productivity per person in video production. Barf. Sony aims to continue to integrate its own technologies with generative AI to establish a creator-first production environment, barf, that maximizes creative potential while ensuring safety and security. So that's part one, guys. That Bandai Namco thing, yikes. Just how bad are things going for Bandai Namco right now, you guys?
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing and actually alarming. I mean, but it's like we've talked about before. Also, I think you brought this up. The Japanese have a very different view of AI, and especially of generative AI, right? Than we do here in the States. People are mostly against it.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see the tables turn here in the United States because there's this crazy wealth disparity that's occurring between the AI companies and everyone else in the United States. Our electrical bills are going up. Our water is being used for this. They're being given tax abatements to build these data centers. There's like an actual social movement against AI in the United States forming. You're wearing a no AI shirt. I'm wearing a no AI hat. I think clean water is greater than AI. I'm sure you guys agree. So here's part two. How AI evolves the PlayStation experience. As AI lowers the barriers to creation and increases the volume and diversity of content, the PlayStation platform and studios are expected to remain critical in delivering high-quality experiences and helping players discover the right content in an increasingly crowded landscape. Within studio businesses, AI-powered tools are automating repetitive workflows and improving productivity across areas such as software development, quality assurance, 3D modeling, and animation, allowing production teams to focus on building richer worlds and gameplay experiences. Across the platform business, AI is driving efficiency, personalization, and customer value at scale, while continued investments in AI and machine learning are expected to push visual fidelity forward and deliver high-quality player experiences. Overall, AI is expected to unleash the creativity of Sony Interactive Entertainment Studios, power a more curated and consumer-centric platform, and enhance the PlayStation experience, supported by its global player base, deep IP library, and integrated ecosystem. Oof. So there's your statement on it.
I guess, like, part of my issue with that is that it's so generic. Like, how will they use generative AI? Which doesn't really matter. Like, they shouldn't use it, period. But how are they going to use it? Are they just really going to, like, steal from other people the way everyone else who uses it does? Are they going to have their artists create art and then kind of mix it into their own generative AI ecosystem? I don't really understand that part of it.
Yeah, it all boils down to generative AI is generating things based on content that it has previously ingested. So are you ingesting all of the art throughout history, or are you ingesting Sony IP into your own proprietary generative model?
Right.
Because if you're doing that, I don't see any copyright concern, right? Mm-hmm. The latter. But if you're just using Claude or Codex from ChatGPT, OpenAI, or Google Gemini's whatever the fuck, you're using all of art as an inspiration for whatever art you're creating. And then there's the other side of this that I think is going to, like, we talked about this as a staff. I think it's going to be incredibly difficult for us to detect when generative AI is being used in coding, because we don't have the machine. We don't have, like, the source code for these games, right? We're not able to decompile a PlayStation DVD or whatever. Someone might be. And, like, I know Valve has, like, disclosure requirements on their store. Sony doesn't have such requirements on the PlayStation store. So I think this is kind of concerning. Like, what exactly are they going to do? I think that their language there, David, why I wanted to read what they said specifically, just to show everyone how wide-ranging that is. That's narrative design, that's 3D model design, that's artwork, that's even maybe the idea for a game, right? So, like, what exactly are they doing here? And I noted it in the article I wrote. Sony stock is in the toilet right now. It's at like a 52-week low. And I think they were like just swinging for the fence. Like maybe if we say AI, the stock will go up. It didn't.
Right.
Because the narrative right now is don't own software companies and don't own hardware makers because their margins are going to toilet and Claude Code is going to replace every software developer. And I bring up this point. Obviously, I'm invested in Nintendo stock. I'm actually looking at Sony stock because I think it's kind of interesting down here in the toilet. Because I think the PlayStation brand is pretty solid. And they have all that IP. But like, if let's just say, okay, Claude Code is going to be a seminal moment for software programming. Why does everyone in the market assume that none of these development houses are going to use the tool? It's like they all think that John Jaboofer on his couch is going to make the next GTA by vibe coding. And it's like, everyone who actually uses these things, I talked to a lot of software developers about it. It's something like 15% of the code that's being generated actually makes it to production. And in between the generation of the code and actually making it to production is an actual engineer who understands how to debug code still. So it's like, are we really replacing anything with this? Is it maybe a tool that could make things more efficient over time? Possibly. But this idea that like, there's gonna be a whole new wave of indie game developers who just vibe code shit. No. And there's also a stat that came out during the Next Fest, Ozzy, that you are 50%, you are going to get 50% of the wish list that you would have if you're an indie game that used generative AI. That badge that appears when you use generative AI on Steam, when that shows up on your listing, 50% decrease in wish lists. So I think it's happening here in the West first, but we saw it with Crazy Taxi, how like Sega was kind of caught off guard. Like, Ozzy, were you at that Crazy Taxi thing, or was that with Donovan and Greg?
That was Donovan that got to look at Crazy Taxi.
And he mentioned it, like they were kind of caught off guard by...
I was over at Xbox. I was at a different kind of shit show. Yeah,
but like they were kind of caught off guard by how the backlash like started almost instantly after the announcement, right, David? Like we saw that... Yeah. Well, we were covering it from the home team. Like we saw that disclosure and we gotta write the story up because like there is a backlash here in the United States towards generative AI. And I think it's going to spread as the negative aspects become more clear. I think there's a lot of people out there who don't realize just how bad generative AI is for people who work in the creative field, for people who care about the environment, and for people who like video games. Like it has generative AI has fucked the gaming industry so hard. And it doesn't matter what platform you're a fan of. If you're a PC gamer, if you're a Nintendo gamer, if you're a PlayStation fan or an Xbox fan, you got fucked. If you're a fan of like the MSI Claw, if you like the Steam Deck, like you got fucked. If you don't even play on console and you just play on mobile phones, you got fucked. Like every single aspect of consumer electronics is being fucked by generative AI. And it's happening at a time where there's like an affordability crisis in the United States. It's not just consumer electronics. Our food's more expensive. Our gas is more expensive. You know, our healthcare is more expensive than it was a year ago. So it's like, I think we're reaching a tipping point here in the United States when it comes to affordability. And then you have all these assholes that are running $1 trillion companies that are just buying RAM at whatever price they can get it at. And they're driving everything up to the moon. It's only a matter of time until this comes to Japan because the yen is completely taking a shit. They have an affordability crisis over there too. The yen is the lowest it has been against the dollar in like 20 years. So it's like they're experiencing a crazy amount of inflation over there. So like, I think it's only a matter of time until it gets through their head, AI is part of this. You know? I think that's the thing that people are missing right now. And that's why these corporations are still trying to shove it into things. But I thought that was a really ham-fisted statement from Sony. And it was hidden in an annual report that came out on a Friday. I was just like, yeah, Hate that. Hate all
As
of that.
so many things are. Friday afternoon news is rarely good news, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't even like they didn't like put out a press release about this or anything.
Yeah.
It was hidden in a 100-page document. That I shouldn't say hidden, but it was buried in that.
Yeah.
That's not all. Epic Games announced that they see a central role for generative AI models like Claude and Codex in Unreal Engine 6, and that they're getting rid of they're deprecating the blueprint part of it, which is like this really easy way to use like code fragments to put together a game quickly. Claire Obscure is an example of a game that used blueprints. They said they wouldn't have been able to make their game without Unreal Engine 5 blueprints. So they're deprecating that, and they're putting in Claude Codex and Claude and Codex instead. Tim Sweeney has completely embraced generative AI, and I think this will come back to bite them. They did seem to say, we mentioned it before, like Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be supported by UE6. It was on the stage there. Nintendo shared the Rocket League announcement, Ozzy. That was like the first teaser that we got for UE6, was that the next version of Rocket League would run on that. Funny thing, the next Epic Game Store version is not built in Unreal Engine. It's such a piece, that engine is such dog shit that they're not building their new storefront on Unreal Engine. They're trying to make it better. Because I don't know if you guys ever open up EGS on your computer, but my fans just start spinning like crazy whenever I
try not to.
Yeah. We have press accounts there, so sometimes we have games that, last week I was streaming 007 on Dealer's Choice, so I played it on PC, and it was delightful. But yeah, one of my favorite developers and studios, Ozzy Ponkle, the creators of Vampire Survivors, said they're reviewing their Fortnite collab in lieu of this epic stance on Gen AI, because Tim Sweeney,
they're not fans of Gen AI.
No, they're not at all. And Tim Sweeney is like trying to do this NFT shit again. He's trying to make like cosmetics that are going to exist in a metaverse, David, and you can take your stupid Fortnite backpack into your next game. And it's like, no.
And I was just like, we already took this ride. What are we doing?
It already failed, Tim. Like, you can't just keep trying to build the metaverse. We don't want it. I don't want the same cosmetics. I don't want any of these cosmetics. I'm like the last person to buy in-game cosmetics in anything, Ozzy. But like, this idea that, I'm going to be able to unlock cosmetics in Fortnite and use them in Unreal, or use them in Rocket League. It's like, no, thank you. I don't want any of this. It just feels like Tim Sweeney is just like chasing trendy word salad. That's like UE6 is just what's trending, shove it in there. And it's all, what this stinks like to me is Epic is about to have an IPO. That's my guess. The fact that they're shoving all this Gen AI into it now is so when they go public, we're an AI company, right? And when you're an AI company, you get to trade at trillions of dollars, not billions, right? So if I owned over 50% of Epic Games and I wanted to unload some shares on a bunch of unknowing jaboofers, I would shove whatever the fuck into it and then flip it to all the idiots. Like what happened with SpaceX. But yeah, barf.
Asif, I have a question for you. I encountered this on a forum recently, and it really got me thinking. Has any new technology ever seemed as apocalyptic as AI? Like, whenever new technology comes out, there's a whole lot of the sky is falling narrative. But this time it actually seems to feel true to me, just given what's happening, and it's still not widespread yet.
I've thought about it a lot. The nuclear bomb, right?
Yes.
That, I would say, is one moment where, yes, that, like, the amount of, you think about how many nuclear warheads the United States has or Russia has, the world could end. So yes, I would say nuclear weapons, not nuclear power, but nuclear weapons, I would say is one of those moments. But more recently, I would say the internet. And like, it's not that it's interesting in that, like, I've always been a technologist. I've always been an early adopter of technology, David, like most of my life. And my mom is like, she's like a cave woman. She hates tech. So she's always very wary of it. And I don't mean that in a negative way. She's just like, I don't trust this. And I'm like, I understand. So like, why I say the internet, David, is like, it kind of opened the world to the beginning of what George Orwell was talking about in 1984. This world of mass surveillance, I think, was only made possible by the advent of the internet, right? And now we're also dependent on the internet, right? So there's an element of dystopian tech to the fact that look at where we get our information from these days, that there's only a few outlets for information and that they are now being controlled by trillion-dollar corporations, right?
Right.
So I would say the internet is the closest thing I can say to that. And obviously, we're an internet company. Shacknews is a website, right? We have media. We use these different outlets to reach people. But I would say the internet is the closest near-term thing. But what's different here, and why, like, I'm wearing a no AI hat and a clean water is greater than AI thing, and we're selling this merch, and we're like trying to get people to wake up, like, this is bad.
Right.
Is that it's taking that concern I had about the internet, and it has amplified all the bad aspects. Every podcast I've ever had, David, I've always talked about the dangers of misinformation and how important it is to vet information. It's never been harder than right now to vet information. And that is entirely due to generative AI. I'm doing this thing with my mom's YouTube channel, or her YouTube account, Ozzy. She's almost 80. She can't tell the difference between generative AI and reality. And she said to me this weekend, well, if this is fake, why should I trust anything? And that is what they're trying to do, David. We're already in this era where the media is distrusted, right? Especially games media. Like, they're like, oh, these guys are all shills. They get paid to review, all that nonsense, right? So it's like, we're already distrusted. But now it's 60% of content that's uploaded to the internet every day, David, is AI generated. It's not even real. So, like, they've created this environment where information, people don't trust it anymore. And then not only do they not trust it, they can create their own information that confirms their biases and then spread that to other people. So I think this is the most dangerous. That's one of the most dangerous aspects of it. But then there's also just the actual economic impact of generative AI, especially on the United States economy, and how it's like we talked about earlier, it impacted component costs, right? For computers. But forget that. The state of Ohio has given out over $1 billion in tax incentives, David, to data centers being built. Tax abatements, tax incentives, tax credits. What if we just paid for people's healthcare with that? Like, we're not going to do that. Like, we have infinite money for this shit. Like, you think about Apple spending over $100 billion this year on AI data centers. Google spending, like, I think almost $200 billion. Microsoft over $100 billion. Facebook's over $100 billion. Just this year. NVIDIA's spending all this money on this shit. OpenAI and Anthropic, and like, they're all spending hundreds of billions of dollars on AI data centers. And these are being financed by banks. There's energy companies getting involved, right? Because you need power for these things. There's water companies being involved. If this doesn't work, David, this is going to be cataclysmic for the United States economy. I say this I feel like I'm fucking Chicken Little. I was talking to my dad about this weekend. Because the sky is fucking falling. If this fails, this will usher in an economic collapse not seen since the Great Depression. If it succeeds, fine. 5 companies will make money. So yes, to your point that set me off on this conversation, yes, this is the most apocalyptic moment in the history of technology. And we should be afraid. Yeah, I don't mean to be like a fearmonger. Fearmonger, right? Not fearmonger.
Yeah.
But I think about this a lot. I really do. And it's very concerning. And I don't think the average user of generative AI thinks about this at all. And when I talk to my friends in Japan, they don't think about this at all. They just use it.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's the thing that scares me, David. There's over 900 million people who use ChatGPT every day.
Yeah.
So it's like we're in this window of time where it's like, hey, there's an iceberg in front of us, guys.
Huh.
And we're just on the Titanic, like barreling right at it. And I'm like, hey,
Right.
iceberg. And they're like, we're just going to keep going. You know, like I can't stop it. You can't stop it. Like we're all on this. We're all on the fucking Titanic together. But like the person driving this fucking cruise ship is barreling towards it at an accelerating speed. So it's like, it's so weird to say this. I find myself rooting for China right now. I'm like, please, China. You know, DeepSeek. Have you heard of the DeepSeek model?
No.
It's an open source AI model. And what they did, they steal from the AI companies. How poetic is that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they create models based on these other models, and then they offer them for pennies on the dollar. It's entirely possible that China will kneecap all of these American tech companies by making a model available for free to the world. And then all of this money that we spent here in the United States will be for nothing? Or will, you know, no inglorious leader, we will ban the AI from China. It's a danger to national security, right?
Right.
But yeah, I'm leaving out the part about how Palantir's creating a police state here, David. Like, there's all sorts of terrifying stuff that's happening in the AI space.
Yeah.
That's being swept under the rug because, hey, look at these dancing cats I generated with Grok.
Right.
You know, like, oh, look at this silly video. We can still just have Train Dog, which is just good old-fashioned meme. Like, there's something adorable about a low-effort meme in this era.
Yeah. I agree.
So get out there, fire up your Microsoft Paint, and make the shittiest memes you can, folks, because it doesn't use as much water or electricity as your bullshit generative AI memes. And they're funnier. You know? So yeah. That's a very long answer.
Please learn to question when something is AI or not, because I will say this. I remember when the Knicks won the championship a few weeks ago, and people that I know that should know better, I'm not going to mention names, but they were spreading a video where some dude in Times Square like launched something out into the crowd, and then it got tossed right back. And my immediate reaction was, how do we know this is an AI? And sure as shit, I started getting replies going, yeah, that looks like AI. It's like, why are we spreading this stuff? We should know better. Come on now.
We should also have rules and laws about proper disclosure of generative AI content. And we don't because of the current administration that is running this country into the ground.
Because they are also making money off of this.
Yeah, because they're invested in all of this. So it's like, that's why I'm like, this isn't going to end well. They're going, like, I in our newsletter, David, which, by the way, sign up for the Shack newsletter. We've got another one going out July 1st. My first piece for it, David, I called it the Thelma and Louise stock market. Donald Trump being Thelma, the tech industry being Louise, they're holding hands and they're driving off a cliff together. Like, that's just like the same, my metaphor for the iceberg. Like, it feels like the wealthiest people in the world know the negative effects of what they're doing, and they're just trying to make hay. Like, that's where we're at. But yeah, I'm very concerned about it. I don't know what to do about it. I really don't. I try to be as vocal as I can to people, but like people get so offended when you tell them that Gen AI is bad. They're like, but I use it every day. I'm like, stop.
Right.
Just stop it. But there's addiction to AI. It echoes the internet in so many ways, David. Think about like cyber sex in the late 90s, early 2000s. People are falling in love with different GPT models. People fell in love with GPT 4.0, and when it got updated, they were all clinically depressed. There's a whole subreddit of people lamenting an update to a chatbot.
Yeah.
There's AI psychosis. There's also like people like my mom who just can't tell the difference anymore. Like Ozzy, like you're right. Like people need to know the difference, but some people are incapable of telling the difference. And they need help. They need regulation. They need rules. They need guardrails. We don't have any of that. So it's like, I'm extremely concerned about this.
We can't even get regulations on groceries right now, much less regulations on AI.
Or, yeah, anything, man. Clean water, clean air rules. Like, I don't want to make this a political podcast, but so much deregulation has occurred in the last few years that there's no chance of AI regulation happening at all. And that's extremely concerning. What's not concerning?
We don't want to make it political, but like it's hard not to when everything is intersecting like this.
Yes. And when there's like a level of corruption that's unprecedented in the United States government right now. And this isn't a political statement because Nancy Pelosi owns NVIDIA stock too. You know what I mean? Like it's not either. It's both parties are in bed with big tech right now because big tech has so much money. If we really want to get technical about it, it all goes back to Citizens United versus the United States government in the Supreme Court when it was determined that corporations are people and money is free speech. So corporations can spend money on political donations. When that happened, it set us down this path, Ozzy. Like, it's been a downward spiral ever since that Supreme Court case. So, folks at home, if you want to read about the Supreme Court case that set us on this path, Citizens United versus the United States government. In my opinion, that was the tipping point for the United States. And it's been, that's the tipping point for what was the germ of democracy in our government. And it's been a downward spiral ever since. On to a much better topic. I have been playing Star Fox. I can say it, David. I can finally say it. I've been playing Star Fox for review. It's so fucking good. Oh my God, is it good? Oh my God, is this game good? Holy shit. Oh man. I love it, Ozzy. One of my favorite games, and I know former editor-in-chief here at Shacknews, Andrew Yoon, the late Andrew Yoon, one of his favorite games of all time was Star Fox 64. And I consider it's one of the most perfect video games, Ozzy. I love it with its warts, right? There's, David, we talked about it. There's no perfect game. There's 10 out of 10 games. They don't have to all be perfect. But like, right. So much of Star Fox 64, Ozzy, is just good video game. Like, it's just inject good video game into my eyeballs.
I've made comments this week, in fact, about like how often Nintendo has gone back to Star Fox 64 over and over. But then again, it is that good that you kind of can, Yes. It's like going back to Ocarina. Like, yes. It's that good.
Yes.
It's worth going back to repeatedly.
So it's like, at the time of this recording, I've beaten this game in the last week close to 20 times. Like, it's not a game that takes a long time, Ozzy. It's like 2.5 hours or maybe 2 hours to get from Corneria to Venom. And, if you're doing it quickly, maybe even less, right? So I probably have put about 30 hours into this game. I played the multiplayer, I played the single player, I played some of the challenges, and now I'm going after the medals. So it is a faithful recreation of Star Fox 64. This is not a new game in the sense that it is not changing anything, really. It is one-to-one down to where the enemies spawn, Ozzy, right? So it's like, if you remember playing Corneria on N64 and where those first enemies appear, they're going to appear in the same place, right? But it does tweak the formula in areas of presentation, in areas of production, in areas of voice acting, and in areas of music, right? Star Fox 64, Ozzy, is lovable in how cringy some of the voice acting is, right? Like memes. Like my friend group has like memes of "too bad your dad's not here to see you fail," you know, like Pigma, like his voice, and like they replace that line, Ozzy, you know, like they change different words, you know, they try to soften the language of the game, and I think it comes over very well. An example that I brought up in our staff meeting, the character Cat, who is a literal cat, David. She is a cat pilot who comes shows up in Zone S to help you, and apparently her and Falco have a relationship from the past. In the N64 version, Ozzy, she's like super girly girl. She's like, "Is that any way to treat a girl?" And like, "I could kiss you." Like, she says some really whack shit that in the 1990s, probably.
That's not really flew in the 90s.
You know, you could get away with that, right? You go back and you watch some of those sitcoms from the 90s, Ozzy, the shit that they were saying, the anti-LGBTQ plus stuff that they were saying would never fly today, right? But even like the misogynistic stuff in video games that they got through with in the 90s, like that would never fly today. They rewrote almost every single one of Kat's lines in this game. And I'm like, that's a good thing. Like, she's like a cool badass that shows up and helps you, which is what she was in the original game, but they just like coded her with this like girly girl talk. Now she's just a badass, and she kind of teases Falco. Like she calls him Lombardi instead of Lombardi. And then at the end of one of the missions, Fox is like, "Yeah, way to go, Lombardi." So it's like, I think that's cool. Like, I'm like, that does not take away, is my point. So like, they have the things that they have decided to tweak are not gameplay most of the time. I will say this, Ozzy, like, do you remember how easy it was to cheese some of the bosses in Star Fox 64?
Absolutely.
They have altered that. So like,
oh no,
I know. So you know, like that first.
You're trying to have to earn this now.
I mean, you're gonna a little bit. So like an example of this, Ozzy, and this is early on, so don't worry about spoilers, folks. Also, like, how do you spoil a game like this? This has been out forever. I'm not allowed. I'll say this: I'm not allowed to talk about the last levels, right? So I'm gonna just state that.
4 p.m.
And it's 4 p.m. And it's 4 p.m. But yeah, so Corneria, you know, when you get like the good path, where you save Falco and then he takes you through the waterfall, because all good video games should let you go behind waterfalls, right?
You find a shortcut, try to keep up.
Yeah. So you go through there, and there's that boss where you have to shoot his, like, the bays as they open. You can't actually damage it until Peppy tells you to shoot the bays.
Ah, lame.
So it just means that, like, it takes maybe 10, 15 seconds longer than it would have on the N64 version.
I used to sprint through that fight.
I know. I was like, first time, Ozzy, I was like, I even noticed it during the preview event because they let me do both the pass on Corneria. I was like, is that? And then I went back and I played the N64 version a couple weeks ago, right, David? So I was like, huh. So they did that there. I noticed it on a couple of other boss fights, Ozzy, but not all of them. But it's like just a couple of them where you can't cheese it as easily. So I think some speedrunner folks or people who are like know the path in this game are going to be like, ah. But like, I think they did that to make it like, because there were times, Ozzy, where you could kill a boss so fast you couldn't even hear the voice lines. Like, it would just be like over, right? So like, I think they did this in the effort of like telling a story. That's another aspect of this game, Ozzy, though, that is brand new and I love. This has cutscenes, like a lot of them. So after every level, actually before every level, there's a briefing that you have with General Pepper, which existed in the original game too, Ozzy, but it was more like just Pepper talking to Fox and that was it. Now it's like they show you every time, it's like, meanwhile in the Great Fox, and like it shows you the outside of the ship and then it zooms in and like it has these like set piece kind of moments. Like there's this one where Falco's like looking out the window while General Pepper starts talking to Fox, and like you see the back of Falco's jacket. It says like "free as a bird" on it. I was like, that's kind of cool. You know, so it's like little things like that. Or like Falco's just hilarious in this still. He like General Pepper's giving you guys like orders one time and he just like says something under his breath and like Fox looks at him and is like kind of giggling because like they really lean into the like, hey, we are mercenaries. We are not working for the military. We're not.
They've always been mercenaries. They've always been in it for the money.
Yeah. So there's these times where like Pepper's like, hey, you got to go to Ficina because you need to help us with this base. And like Fox like pauses the holographic FaceTime or whatever and goes over to like Peppy and he's like, what's going on this planet? And then Peppy gives him some like intel. He's like, oh, so you're doing this because you blah, 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 blah. He's like, he's like, we can do that, but it'll cost you. It's just like, it's funny how like they lean in to just that these guys are mercenaries. That these guys
forget, but like they used to do that in Star Fox Adventures and like in the later games. They used to really play up that aspect of the team that they're mercenaries for hire.
Yes. So they still do that very much. And this I can talk about. So there's this moment where this is another level. Sector X, Ozzy. You remember the robot that kind of looks like Rob the Robot? So they rewrote him a bit. Instead of saying, where is the creator? He still says, where is the creator? But instead of saying, I must be complete before he dies, he says, why has the creator forsaken me?
Wow, that's much sadder.
And I'm like, oh my God. But in that moment, like it is, it's just like gorgeous level, dude. These backdrops are stunning. I don't know if you guys have seen gameplay or screenshots of this game. It's beautiful. Like the one word I keep coming back to for this, David, is beautiful. The game is beautiful. The music is beautiful. The weaving of gameplay into the story is just masterfully done. And yeah, so there's this, I was talking about that robot. So to get to Titania, which is the other tank level, the lesser known tank level, Ozzy, you have to let Slippy show up and get smacked away by that robot. And then he gets downed and you have to go to this planet. So they cut to the next cutscene. General Pepper's like, I'm really sorry that you lost one of your guys. And like Fox is like super angry. He's like, we are not leaving Peppy behind. We're not leaving Slippy behind. And he gets like super agitated. Like it's interesting. Like they give Fox so much more personality in this. And there's times where like Peppy, early on in the game, Peppy brings up Fox's dad to him a bunch, right? And we know James McCloud was lost in Venom, and he was Peppy's old. He was the creator of the Star Fox team, and he was Peppy's old teammate. He was teammates with Pigma as well, and Pigma betrayed them and all that stuff. But he keeps talking about his father to him, and like Fox gets like visibly agitated about it. He's like, yeah, your father used to do it. He's like, well, he didn't do it good enough, or he'd still be here. Like there's this attitude that Fox has that like it creates a narrative that is addressed throughout it's an actual narrative flow, David, that like they address at the end of towards the end of the game. And I just think it's cool. Like this game, everything they did with the cutscenes makes this game feel like you're in a freaking summer blockbuster movie. Like it just takes what was already a crazy action game, Ozzy, and then adds elements of like weight to it. And I just think it's really cool. Like when you're on the left path, the good path, you have this opportunity to go back to the other side, and they present you both levels. And they're like, you could do this, and here's what's going on there, or you could do this. And the team kind of debates it. They're like, well, you should do this, we should do this. But when the one I wanted to note was when Slippy gets smacked by that robot, and then after you save Slippy, Falco's like, General Pepper wanted to just notify your next of kin. Like that's what he says to Slippy in the next cutscene. And I was just like, that's hilarious. Because he says it under his breath while Fox is talking to Pepper. It's so good. And like Slippy is just like, this was a great test for the R-Wing, and Peppy's like, never change, kid. Like, it's so cool that they like give these guys, like, you feel it. Like, you feel that they are a team and they rib each other, you know? Like, it's an actual vibe that they create with those cutscenes. And I think that's actually really impressive. It just makes me want a movie. God, do I want a movie. I want a Star Fox movie so badly, Ozzy. Like, this...
I want to say, in terms of the visuals, that's part of the why I had that reaction that I had initially to that specific look for this game, was because Miyamoto prefaced it by going, here's what Fox looks like in the Super Mario Galaxy movie. And then you see like this hotshot pilot, this anime style, and they go, and now here's Star Fox the game, and it looks totally different. So it was like, and I was not ready for that, like, jarring of a transition. But now that I've had a month or so to get used to it, I'm into it. I like this look. I like this visual style, and I like the presentation.
Yeah, the character models are not the thing that I found jarring at all while playing it, Ozzy. Like, because I just, like I said, I think the cutscenes actually add to the experience. The thing that I found jarring was some of the voice acting. Rob 64 has like a regular human voice almost. Like, doesn't sound robotic enough. And I was like, you're a robot. It's just like,
that was like part of his charm, was he was a robot.
The Rob's voice is one of those where I'm like, I don't really like that. And then the other thing is, like, you know, the monkeys are, you know, a lot of the bad guys, a lot of the bosses in this are monkeys flying ships or controlling things. They went from being like, they almost were like old-timey gangsters, right? Like
yeah.
Like their delivery in the N64, Ozzy, they're like, don't party just yet. And now it's like, they have this like pomp to them now. They're very like Planet of the Apes vibes. They're like, don't party just yet. And I'm like, what? Like, you're like, what? This is just a choice, right? So it's like, it's weird in that a lot of the delivery is different, but the voice lines are almost identical for a lot of the boss battles. And I'm just like, that's weird. That's also true of like Andrew, you know, one of the Star Wolf team. Star Wolf, I think has a very good voice. He still sounds like a bad guy. I can't talk about the final boss, but you know, the voice acting in this game it's going to be one of those things where like diehard 64 fans are going to complain about some stuff, be it the rewrites or the delivery. But I feel like they have created a new memeable moments, right? Like, instead of I must be complete, it's why has the creator forsaken me? Because like that one, I might make that an H2 in my review. Because like,
Falco still tell you, hey Einstein, I'm on your side.
Kind of. He says something similar. He says something similar. I do want to just really highlight that I think they softened the language to not hurt people's feelings.
Oh, come on!
I really think that's the case in a lot of this, where they're like, it's friendlier, but they're still like, Falco still has that like Italian, like, hey, I'm walking here kind of attitude. It's just different things that he says. He ribs you at the end of each level, right? Because like he and Fox are like super competitive about who got more kills or whatever. So like he still does that, and that is like a narrative arc that continues, like from the tutorial to the end of the game. There's like this competitive nature between Fox and Falco. There's
I don't know how much I'm gonna like that, because to me Falco was always like Raphael from the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Where
yeah,
he was that hard ass that you felt like could go rogue at any time, you know?
Yeah, they soften it, like they do. I know, Ozzy. Like it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, but like I look at him.
He's so cool though.
He's still cool. Like, I'm telling you, like, he's still cool. He has those moments where he's like, General Pepper wanted us to notify your next of kin. It's like the way he delivers that is similar, I guess what I'm saying. It's like, so there's these moments where he's still funny and he still is that guy, but they have definitely softened the language, I think, to make it more appealing to kids. Because I think this is going to be a lot of people's first Star Fox game, Ozzy. I think is how Nintendo views this. And this is introducing a whole new generation to this franchise. So they, like, you know, the men's rights activists of Twitter are going to be like, they wokeified Star Fox. You know, like, I'm sure there's going to be that take because they made Cat not misogynistic, right? So, like, I feel like at the end of the day, Ozzy, the changes overall make it a better experience for modern day players. But it does lose. It's like literally maybe the only negative I have in my review is that it loses some of its memeable charm from the N64 days. You know, like some of those quotable moments are not in this game. And that's like maybe the only thing that people like olds will be like, shake my fist at this.
I'm very happy to hear about the presentation for this game because now something that I'm going to think about for the next couple of years is now that they've set this foundation, like for the style of cutscene, for the way they present the team, the way they tell the story, is what comes next?
Yes.
Like, what do you do now that you told the story that everybody knows? What happens when it comes time to tell a new story?
Yes.
And now that you have this foundation in place, I'm excited to see that next step.
Yes.
Like in, I don't know, 2028, 2029 or whatever.
Whenever it comes, I am so with you there, dude. Because like this, just shout out to Velen Studios, man. This is, they cooked so goddamn hard with this game. Like, forget the cutscenes, forget the music, forget the voice acting. Let's talk about the gameplay. It is outstanding. Rock solid 60 frames per second. Which, Ozzy, on Aquas, you were lucky to get 14 frames per second on the N64.
Oh, I remember how badly Aquas chugged in the original.
And the draw distance on Aquas was also ass. So, like, there's, like, these little elements.
The lighting was terrible. Like, yeah.
Dude, it's stunning. This game is fucking stunning. There are several times where I would just stop and I'd actually injure my character because I'm just gawking at how beautiful the game was. Like, I was talking to David about this yesterday. I was really trying to think, Ozzy, like, what is the game on the Nintendo Switch 2 where you're like, wow, these are the best visuals I've seen on a Nintendo system?
Right now, it's Bonanza. And it's
exactly. It's Donkey Kong Bonanza, and David agrees. Even if he doesn't like the game, like he's like that. Yeah. Like the visuals of that game were stunning. There are moments in this where I'm just like, this might be right on par with Bonanza when it comes to just wow. You know, like, I don't know if you remember the warp on Meteo, Ozzy, where you hit the different like speed ups and it takes you through like a different warp, like a wormhole. It's the most vibrant, crazy, ton of enemies on screen. So to your point earlier about like, where is this franchise going? I want a larger scale battle. Like, just give me, like, yeah, Star Fox Adventures is cool and like the on ground missions and stuff, but like, just give me another space shooter with a larger scale, you know? Like, take this and run with it. Like, give us like the Mario Odyssey of the Star Fox games. And I think it would cook so goddamn hard. But the gameplay is awesome. Yeah, they altered a couple of boss battles here and there, but like most of the time, Ozzy, you're going to find yourself being like, oh, I remember this pattern, I remember this, you know? But it offers a challenge to players like us who have beaten Star Fox 64 multiple times. They give you those medals, right? And it's like, okay, you have to do the normal medals. I got all the normal medals. I'm in the process of trying to get all the expert level medals. Expert mode is so fucking hard. I forgot how hard it was, Ozzy. You hit anything, you lose a wing. Like, wing gone. And then if you have twin blasters and you lose a wing, you're back to a single pea shooter, right? No continues. I hadn't had to use a continue in normal mode because, you know, pro player over here. But like, expert mode, I did have, I ran out of lives because I was trying to get, there was a Star Wolf encounter that I was struggling with because to get the medals, you have to get a certain amount of hits, right? And there are times where I would like wear down Wolf or Leon or Andrew or Pigma down to like a sliver, but then fucking Falco or Peppy or Slippy would shoot them and get credit for the kill.
Snipe them, yeah.
And then you don't.
I remember that being the really hard part of getting the medals in the original was you basically for Venom 2, you had to shoot everybody down, because if anybody else took that kill, you can't get the medal.
Yeah.
So
I can't talk
would
about
find
whatever
myself
level
through-
he said, but I can tell you there's
Yeah.
other Star Wolf encounters on like Bolse, you know, the satellite level Ozzy, or on Ficina, where like it's the same thing. If you
Can't
don't,
let you do that, Star Fox.
he still says that.
Excellent.
But he says it like, can't let you do that, Star Fox.
That's okay.
I like it. I'm telling you, I like Wolf's voice. I think Wolf's voice actor did a really good job. I think Fox's voice actor did a really good job. And like, you're going to hear Fox more than anyone in this game. So like, that's super important. Without spoiling anything, just the choir aspects of this soundtrack, Ozzy, blew my mind. The first time I heard a choir come in, and they're not saying words, they're just like, oh, like they're just like harmonizing with the music. They add this element of emotion to these moments. Area 6, that like assault on Venom, that last level before you go to that level you were talking about. That music is so epic in this game. Like they elevated these moments. And like, I always tell David, like, before Tears of the Kingdom, Ozzy, I viewed Star Fox 64 as the best video game ending. And when I say that, I mean it like Tears, where it's not just the last level, it's the lead up to the last level, and then the ending, and then even the credits, right? And like, it's still the case, man. Like, I got emotional at the end of the good ending of this game. I keep coming back to this word. It's gonna be in the headline of my review. Beautiful is the word I kept coming back to when I was playing this. The gameplay was beautifully implemented. The engine, just the way they implemented it, beautiful. These cutscenes, the way they elevate the narrative, the music is so good. And like, the N64 music, Ozzy, is timeless. Like, it's still good, you know? And that's why I'm like super excited for The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time to hear what they do with like Gerudo Desert or the Hyrule Field theme. You know, like
Hyrule Field is special. That's one of my favorite OST themes in all
ever.
video games.
Yeah. So like, I can't wait to see what they do there, especially when you think about how hard they cooked with Tears and Breath of the Wild. Like, they're going to do something crazy for that. But like, just you look at the package of what they did with this Star Fox remake, it's a 10 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10. I absolutely love this game. It has made me not want to play Star Fox 64 anymore. I'm good. I've played Star Fox 64 so many times, Ozzy. This is a better version. It's just better. And I can always Google the funny voice lines.
Of course. I want to give Ellen Studios their flowers for building this game with their own engine, with their own proprietary engine, and being able to make this and setting themselves up for the future with it, because now they can basically use it as a demo reel, going like, hey, we made Star Fox with our engine. Would you like us to make a game for you? Like, they can keep hiring themselves out to Nintendo. They can make a hell of an indie game and get funding for it or whatever. But like, they're set for the future. And I wasn't so sure about where they were going to go after Knockout City got discontinued. But yeah, I'm very happy for them. They're a great developer, and I'm happy that they did a great job with this.
They cooked so goddamn hard. Like, just the reverence for the source material was so apparent in the implementation of their engine, Ozzy. Like, this could have gone all sorts of ways, but this is like so good. Like, I beat the game the first day I had the review code. Like, that night I beat the game. I got the good ending the first night I played it. And then like, I actually played through it again that night and got the other ending. So like, I played both paths within the first few hours of having this key installed. I do want to mention the multiplayer before we wrap up. They added battle mode to this, Ozzy, like a new online battle mode. And they have that Fursona game chat thing going on. So next week, folks can look forward to us broadcasting a podcast in our Fursonas, which I will have all sorts of different avatars available to myself, because you unlock stuff as you play through the different things. There's 3 different modes. One is like a territory control. One is like you scoop up meteor fragments. And then the third one I talked about on the preview episode, David, where it's like kind of like Oddball and Halo or Capture the Flag, where there's cargo and pirates. You have to blow up the pirate ship and then grab the cargo and take it to your ship. So I played all 3 modes during a preview session. It's really fun. Like it's a different. This is actually a new experience, right? Where it is completely different than the N64 4-player split screen experience. So it's less of a dogfight, but it still has dogfight mechanics in it. But it's more like objective based. It's 4v4, ran pretty flawlessly, at least in the test demo that I played. I will try to make the staff play this on stream here in the near future. But yeah, I just wanted to mention it is really cool. I think they implemented it very well. And yeah, like they tie the late game single player progression to unlocking like cosmetic banners in the multiplayer, right? So like you get a different banner for each expert mode medal you get, Ozzy. So that's kind of cool. And then yeah, when you unlock expert mode, you also get Star Fox McCloud wearing sunglasses. So in all the cutscenes, David, and in all the like little text chats that you have during the game, he's wearing sunglasses. So these are real-time cinematics. These are in-engine real-time cinematics that they're able to swap in sunglasses and not. So it's kind of cool. He looks a little bit like his dad when he's wearing the sunglasses.
That's the idea. They're his dad's glasses.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of dope. They, like those little nods to the original are all over this. And yeah, like, you know, the varying paths are all 1-to-1, the exact same as the branching paths in Star Fox 64. The medal requirements are similar. I think they're identical. The other thing they added was a challenge mode. It's like, hey, are you a sicko that already got all the normal medals and all of the expert medals? Well, boy, challenge mode is for you. Because it's like Corneria. You know those robots that topple the buildings, Ozzy? There's 5 of them, apparently. That's like one of the challenge mode conditions is kill all 5 of those, but also get 150 kills, but also make sure that Falco doesn't get hurt, and also make sure that none of your guys get hurt. And then like, it's like 5 different things that you have to do in a run. And then you like unlock that. So there's probably more cosmetics hidden behind that stuff. I haven't dove that deeply into challenge mode yet, because I'm like a sicko who's trying to get expert mode and all this stuff. But yeah, it's great. So I guess the last thing I'll say is there's just a ton of replayability to those people. Like, you know, I think there's this narrative, David, that, oh, this game's been remade before. Like, why would I play this again? I think there's a lot of stuff for a seasoned player, Ozzy, that you're going to feel challenged by. And you're going to be like, oh, you know, when I'm a bit of a completionist in games that I love. So when you give me something, like there's a carrot on a stick, I'm going to go after that carrot. And this game does that.
Did you attempt these challenges, Asif?
Yes, I will.
How'd you do?
Not well. I'm like, because you have to be flawless, dude. It's like, and then it's almost like you have to like prepare your build, right? Like you're like, okay, I'm going into this with twin blasters. I have enough bombs, right? So I'll be able to hit this. But also you just have to know, okay, that's where that guy is. That's where that guy is. That's where that guy is, right? Like you have to be so locked in. Like I said, I've beaten this game almost 20 times in the last week. It's because I'm going after these medals and I am trying these challenges. But yeah, it's hard, man. Like I would say that's like the final, like once you're done with all the medals, you can jump between, once you beat a level in normal mode, you unlock the challenge mode. So like you can jump between the two, but I'm like, I just really want the expert.
Nothing out of the ordinary.
Nothing out of the ordinary, says Talking Flower. I really want the expert medals. That's like my white whale right now, because I went back and I was like, my N64 cartridge, like, did I have all those? I'm like, I did. I was talking to my friend. I'm like, man, if we could just teleport and get like 17-year-old Asif to play this game, his mind would be blown. Because it's just like it's everyone's like, oh, it's a remake or whatever. They've done this before. And it's like, it feels new. It just feels new. And it feels really good to play it on a pro controller. Like that's really cool. And they offered things like, mouse controls too. Like you can play this in like a first person perspective with mouse controls. That's really cool. Like there's a lot of stuff that like showcases the Switch 2, the uniqueness of the Joy-Cons, the weirdness of the camera, like the stuff that they have in the Switch 2 that like you might not necessarily use. I think kids are going to have a lot of fun with those avatars. I think you're going to see people stream and like there'll be VTubers that are just Fox McCloud playing other games. When I was in the demo with Treehouse, I kept like doing Pogger's face while I was Fox McCloud. They're like, we see you're testing the open mouth capture. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to get thumbnails. They're just like, they all start cracking up. But yeah, it was, it's great. I don't know what else to say. I absolutely love it. I think I'm going to call it a beautiful masterpiece, like Reborn or something. Because it's just, I love the original. If there was something that really bothered me, Ozzy, I would have given a ding for this. It wasn't like I went into this being like, oh, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. But I think it's kind of like,
well, no, because it has so much to live up to. Like even for as much as I love the Super Mario RPG remake, which is like the remake of my favorite game ever, I didn't give it a 10 because there were stuff about it that didn't live up to my impossibly high expectations.
Yeah.
So nobody ever goes into like this kind of thing expecting to give it a 10.
No. And I next week, here's a tease, David. Next week, I will be able to talk about the ending of this game. And I will talk about why that was the moment when I was like, oh, okay. Because it's just, yeah, if you've played the N64 game and you've gotten the good ending, I think it's a really, really cool ending. And I think Velen Studios deserves a lot of praise for how they handled this narrative from the beginning to the end and how those cutscenes elevate it. And just the presentation. There are some epic moments in this game, Ozzy. There's epic boss reveals. There's like, those musical moments. Those, they nailed every aspect of that. Where I was just like, wow. I actually was just like, this is... It exceeded my expectations. I had a very, very good experience in my preview session back in New York. So I felt good about it going into this. And then even like, I just saw chatter, people responding to like how good the demo was. But yeah, I agree with what you said earlier. I really hope this is a rebirth of the franchise and that we get something new from this team. Like this is a team.
Isn't it wild to think that just like 6 months ago, we thought this franchise was dead?
Yeah. And as an F-Zero fan, I know the feel. I know that feel. And like, I think it's cool, man. Like, I think it's, going back to the Super Mario Galaxy movie real quick, like, if there's one thing that you leave that movie thinking, Ozzy, it's Star Fox is cool. Like, right? Isn't that like...
I wrote about it on Shacknews. You can go look for that feature right now.
Yeah. Like, it's like, I actually cited that in my preview too, but like Star Fox is cool in that movie. The Lumas are all in love with him. Toad is like, this is the coolest guy I've ever met. Like he's cool.
Even Mario, like the first time he meets him, he's like, hey, that's a cool guy.
Like they both had that moment where you're like, oh no, they're not going to make them hate each other, but then they're like instantly boys. Yeah, like that stuff. Like I love how they handled that. I'm like so hopeful that this can actually reach an audience. Like I hope this reaches that audience that it deserves. But yeah, 10 out of 10. Our highest recommendation here. $50 on digital. So not too crazy. And it feels like a summer blockbuster when you're playing it. Like you feel like it's not, Nintendo Switch 2 is not the most powerful system, whatever. But like, this is one of those, David, where I'm like, this feels like this is a new Nintendo system. you know?
Yeah.
Like some of these moments in the last year haven't felt like that, you know? Yeah, we got better Ocarina, or we got better Tears, we got better Breath of the Wild, but like we had played those games. Animal Crossing loads faster, right? Like, okay.
There's so many cases where we see that Nintendo doesn't have the most powerful hardware, but they know what to do with it. They know how to make the most of it.
This is like, since Bonanza, this is that moment where I was like, oh, okay, this is like next gen Nintendo game. Like, forget the other competitors, but this is like one of the best looking Nintendo games that's ever shipped. And I think that's super cool. Considering like the source material, Ozzy, like that, it's a very polygonal, minimal design with, you know, limited draw distance and all those things. Like all that, throw that out the window. That's why I'm like, I don't want to play the old game anymore, which I think is the highest praise I can give a remake. But yeah, that's it. That's my Star Fox review. I did it. I have to write it now, which will be my evening. I might just take this and this will be my video review for it. Yeah, I'll just take this and make my own little video review. But yeah, that'll do it. I don't know. Is there anything else? I think we got everything. This is a long episode.
We got everything. Yeah.
Hey, Ozzy. Well, thanks for joining us, man.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's been too long.
Yeah. And, you know, I think Donovan will be back next week. Maybe I'll find a Falco amiibo for next week.
That seems like the next logical addition.
I'm running out of Zelda. I have 2 more Zelda amiibo. I have Breath of the Wild Link, and I have Link riding a horse. I'm not sure if it's...
I think that's a Tears.
Yeah. He's wearing a hood.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
I don't know which one that is.
I am a little disappointed that we didn't get new Star Fox amiibo for this release, because we're getting amiibo for a lot of everything else that Nintendo's putting out, but not for this, oddly enough.
Yeah. Amiibo are in a weird place, man, because, like, on the one hand, yeah, I would have liked new amiibo, but then on the other hand, did you see those Kirby Air Rider amiibo prices?
Well, they try to get ambitious with those, but you know, on the other hand, I didn't have any misgivings about giving $35 for that Rosalina amiibo for Galaxy, that newer one.
That's fair. But yeah, well, that'll do it. If you like this show, like, follow, and subscribe. If you want to support us, you can get David's shirt or my hat or this shirt on our Shacknews shop over there on Fourth Wall. It supports content like this. And hey, if you
my shirt's in the mail.
Oh, yeah, your shirt's coming. But yeah, it also, yeah, if you enjoyed this show, give us a like, follow, and subscribe. If you're listening to us, give us a review over there on the podcast facilities. But yeah, if you liked our podcast here, we also talked about Quake yesterday on the Shacknews YouTube channel, so you can watch David and my conversation about the Quake 30th anniversary. Shacknews wouldn't exist without Quake. And yeah, just if you want more to listen to, I'll link it in the description below. How about that? But yeah, that'll do it. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.